Moises Caicedo has put himself in a corner like no other player has done before. Handing in a transfer request on Instagram and Twitter is beyond compare. I don't think we've ever seen it. Well, do we respect the honesty, or do we have to say this is another action from a footballer showing how out of touch he is? For me, the information is easy. Brighton have put him on a naughty step, and we know exactly what's going to happen with the harsh truth. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Kavkas View, guys, and in today's video we're going to break down the timeline of what's actually going on with Moises Caicedo. A lot of people are getting misinformation from left, right and center. I've compiled everything into one minute video that you are going to enjoy, you're going to absorb, and you're going to be more well informed, and you're not going to be getting all that nonsense from every single one else. Oh, 120 million, oh, 90 million, oh, 60 million, oh, 50 million. No, I've got all the facts from reliable sources compiled for you to enjoy, understand and nurture. All I want from you guys now is three simple things. I want you to hit the like button because it helps whenever we hit 1,000 likes. It really does. The video gets pushed like crazy. Number two, I need you lot to subscribe. We are super close to 24,000. And number three, follow me on Instagram, which is in the pinned comment below. Follow me there. Ask me as many questions as you want about football. I usually tend to reply within my DM. But now let's break down the saga. And what do we know so far? Well, we know that Moises Caicedo has had 3 bids placed in for him. Number 1 from Chelsea for £55 million. Number 2 from Arsenal, £60 million. And number 3 from Arsenal, which is an unknown value. 2 of them have been rejected. 55 and 60 have been rejected. The third one, we don't know how much it is. The player has gone on to hand in a transfer request online. I covered this in yesterday's video that I released really late UK time. YouTube has pushed it, but not a lot of you have seen it, so I'm going to quickly go over what he essentially said. It's been his dream to become a professional footballer. He's very grateful for Brighton for what they've done, for giving him an opportunity. However, he's got 10 siblings that he basically says he needs to look after. And more importantly, the biggest one here is he wants to become the sold asset Brighton have ever sold, and it wants Brighton to reinvest that money to become stronger with him following his dream. I think everything he said is very acceptable. It's honest, and it's something we need to get behind because honesty is good. Waking up today, the news is that Brighton have told him, don't come to training until February the 1st. Do not come to training for the next 4 days. You won't be playing against Liverpool. We do not want to see you. We do not want to hear from you. And we want you out of the picture till February the 1st. They are digging their heels in. They're saying the player is not for sale. They are saying he is not for sale. And the only way we will consider selling him is if you pay £90 million. £90 million for a player that they purchased for £5 million 18 months ago. Now that is all the news that we have to this day. This is coming from Fabrizio Romano and it's coming from David Owens. A lot of people try to rehash it that Caicedo is refusing to turn up to training. No, Ornstein confirmed. Caicedo was instructed and he's following instructions from his club not to turn up to training. He is basically put out of the fire line that they do not want to deal with this situation for the next 4 days. Once the window closes, they will reintegrate him back into the squad. Now we need to break this down in a methodic way of what's going on and the harsh truth of this. Well, number one, there are 2 schools of thought of looking at this. And there are schools of thought that we will cover from Brighton's side and then from the players' side. We're going to look at it from Brighton's side. Brighton took the initial pitch to sign him for £5 million. He was offered to Manchester United. United never took the option. Brighton did. And guess what? They've developed him. They've given him more opportunity. And now he's an asset. Brighton are in line to make European qualifications for the first time in their history, as far as I know. And they don't want to ruin it by selling their best players. They've already had to sell Cucurella without wanting to sell Cucurella because the offer from Chelsea was crazy at £62 million. And now they're going to be pushed into selling another asset they don't want to sell mid-season. Mwepu has had heart conditions, so he had to retire from football. They had another midfielder injured, and Billy Gilmore is the only available one alongside McAllister. They do not want to go back into the market and with everyone knowing they've got 90 million in their hands. So this is why Brighton don't want to do it. And more importantly, where does this end? If big clubs just rock up and say, you know what, here's 50 million, hold that. Here's 60 million, hold that. Give us your best player. Yes, there is the big fish, it's the little fish argument. But the argument needs to stop at a certain point, right? If I have an asset I don't want to sell because I want to get better, a 21-year-old midfielder that makes me better for the next 3 to 4 years who's under contract, I don't want to sell him. You can't force me to sell. I've told you the price. And if you're not willing to meet it, it's end of discussion and we'll rediscuss this in the summer. But then we need to look at it from Caicedo's angle, right? Like Caicedo said, he earned £2.5 thousand, right? That is what is reported. 2.5K a week. That's around about 10K a month, right? Oh, it's a bit more. But this is the issue now where we're gonna have he's got 10 siblings, guys. He's got a mom and dad that he needs to look after as well. When you earn that kind of money, you can live a comfortable life if you're looking after yourself. But the reality is he's most probably helping out relatives and he's most probably looking for an opportunity to get a better quality of life for himself. Someone's picking up the phone and telling you, you can go from 2.5K a week to arguably somewhere in near 90 to 100K a week. You don't think you're gonna be tempted? You're 21 years old. I don't care how old you are actually, the age is irrelevant. And more importantly, he was signed for 5 million. In his head, he's thinking, I'm bringing you 12 times the value of my initial fee. 60 million you've rejected. There's another fee that's even bigger, guaranteed, right? You're not gonna bid lower. And yet you're still not accepting it. And what do I need to do to get my freedom from this club? And this is the two schools of thought. He went and voiced his opinion in a respectful manner. He was open about it. He was courageous. And what I really liked about it, it was very transparent. He said his reasons why he wanted to leave. He gave his amicable decisions where I want to help the club reinvest the money. He basically told them, this is what I want to do. He hasn't refused to come to training. He's been very respectful throughout the whole process. And now the question arises from Arsenal's and Chelsea's point. Look, Arsenal and Chelsea evidently want this player. The question needs to rise, how bad do they want this player? Because if you're willing to pay 65, 70 million, just go and pay the 90. Because this is what I'm going to argue. What is the difference between 70 and 90 million apart from his 20 million pounds to these clubs? Because if you believe Caicedo going to join your team makes you better to the point where you're going to have more success on the pitch, you're going to make that money back anyway. And these days, this is the going rate for a midfielder. He is a starter in the Premier League for a top 6 side. That's what Brighton are at the moment, a top 6 side. You're taking their best player, evidently making them weaker, and you don't want to pay the going rate. Enzo Fernandez is touted for 105 million upfront. So you're trying to tell me Caicedo is not worth 90 million when he's had 18 months in the Premier League? He played at the World Cup for Ecuador and played very well. So it's very interesting to see how this happens. What I think is going to happen is he ain't going nowhere. Brighton are going to dig their heels in. They don't need the money. They've sold enough players in recent history. And they're going to say, look, you want our player? You better pay up the 90 million. If not, come back in the summer and we'll discuss it at the time we decided. That's what De Zerbi said. De Zerbi said, I want him to stay until the summer. Then we can rediscuss. Basically saying, I'm resigned to losing him in the summer. I don't want to lose him during the season. Caicedo does not strike me like the type of individual to basically kick his feet up and not do nothing till the end of the summer, because he's going to be playing for a move. So for me, it's essentially, I think Brighton should just give him a little pay rise. Say, you know what, you're on 2.5K, hold that, here's 20K a week for the rest of the year. And from there, we're going to rebuild. And then we'll sell you on. But guys, this was the Kavkas View. These were my views. I want to hear yours. It was a very one-story video today, but there was a lot to talk about. There was a lot to decipher. There was a lot to analyze. There was a lot to edit. So let's get into it. Let's have a nice discussion. Hit the like button before you guys forget. Thank you for watching. Peace out. I'm out.